Okay, so welcome back to our top 5 series. This one's a little bit controversial. These are the top 5 scams to look out for in the recruitment industry.
Be nice and gentle with the comments, please.
Yeah. And I'm just going to preempt this by saying some of the things we talk about can be legit, but sometimes they can be a little bit of a scam. So we're kind of giving you the advice to look out for these things. I think point number 1, we talked about commission schemes in some of our earlier series. An aggressive draw system can be a little bit of a scam sometimes. Now, I get the idea of a draw system where you have to pay for yourself, and once you have made enough money to cover your own costs, then you start making commission. That's kind of fair enough in principle, right? Because you have to cover your costs and the company needs to make profit. But some draw systems are crazily aggressive, almost set up actually, if it's going to be a scam, so that you never really earn bonus or commission. So you got to really pay attention to how long does this draw last for? Does it reset ever? Is it just going to allow you to get behind and never recover?
Does it start immediately as well?
Does it start immediately?
Or do they give a bit of a head start?
Yeah, is there a grace period? Which there should be, I think. The other thing is that the threshold for you as a recruiter in a draw system can sometimes be a bit of a murky calculation. Now, it should be based on your salary or a percentage of your salary, plus some kind of cost potentially that the business bears. But this is something you really need to clarify. What you don't want to do is get to the end of a quarter and think you're earning bonus, and your company does the calculation and says, okay, you owe us 10,000 yen when you're expecting a bonus. So make sure you really investigate draw systems in detail.
The topic number 2 actually is discretionary commission systems. So we operated under a discretionary commission system in the past. It's never been, I think, our favorite choice, but I think it's not necessarily bad. I think if you are working under a discretionary system, which is mainly, I think, is prevalent within really large firm with excellent database, household names, I think.
Yeah.
Of course, the percentage is going to be lower than a transparent commission scheme most time. However, you do get a lot of things from those companies, I think, in terms of training and, client base, database, and all this kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily bad. My only advice, and the only tricky part could be, again, it is discretionary, so, the relationship you have with your manager, the overall performance of the company could affect, and definitely will affect your commission, your bonus in that case. So think about it. I think if you are an experienced recruiter, I'm not sure if that is the best choice for you. If you're a new grad and your first job in recruitment, I think it's not necessarily bad.
Yeah.
So think about it and make sure that, if you're really if you're a money-driven, money-hungry person, probably companies that offer that type of commission, they shouldn't be, I think, your number 1 choice.
I think the bit of advice I would give about discretionary commission schemes is speak to your colleagues. If you're working for a company, a lot of companies do this, they say, hey, we're going to give you a bonus now. You're not allowed to discuss it with any of your colleagues. That's a bit of a red flag for me because, if you're billing more than your colleagues, you should be earning more commission. There's no question about it. So speak to your colleagues, find out what each of you's been earning, and then you can find out whether you're getting scammed or not.
Also, I think company that offers a discretionary system and they are not household names, then you should questioning,
how do you decide? Yeah.
Where does the money go? Where does my billing go? So I think, again, from a household name, you get a lot of things, From a non-household names, then, you should get paid for what you bill, I think, So topic number 3 is legacy candidates and client ownership. So this, again, it could be really complicated sometimes, especially, and that could be a really big impact on how your commission is calculated, and also which access you're gonna have to accounts and database. Ultimately in recruitment, you are good as your client and candidate base. So if you have limitations around what you can do with those basically 2 parties, it's certainly gonna have an effect in how you're gonna make money. So be careful about it. Always inquire about that. I think a lot of times, especially for maybe boutiques agency, I think it's common to have candidate ownership and client ownership, which is totally fine because somebody built that database and they need to, make some money out of it. But if you're looking to start your recruitment career, again, that will play a part in the draw system, in the calculation of the draw, and the calculation of the threshold. So it can be, again, really complicated at times to understand, and it can play a huge part in how you make your money. So understand it clearly, and again, make sure that it's aligned to your goal.
And know the rules, right? I mean, there's plenty of companies where they say, okay, you register a candidate, for example, and that candidate's yours for 6 months. But then once that 6 months elapsed, anybody can suddenly transfer the ownership to themselves. And I think you've got to know the rules, otherwise you end up you're kind of losing out, despite the fact you may be working hard and doing well.
All companies that, basically the candidate ownership is a legacy. So every candidate you place that is already on the database
is a tax.
Is a tax basically on your billing. And maybe that candidate wasn't spoken for 3 years.
Yeah.
Or was not even spoken maybe. You just put a couple of notes in there and that count as a legacy candidate. So usually in those situations, the guys at the top of the pyramid basically make all the money really. So again, just understanding there's no right or wrong, I think, in any about the topic I think that we discussed. The most important thing is your understanding, and I think the system you're gonna join plays in your favor and plays in align with the goals that you want to achieve within your career.
Okay, point number 4. Maybe this is an obvious one, but you've got to be pretty wary of, I think, commission-only roles in recruitment or pay-to-play positions where you pay the company a fee to kind of have access to some of their resources and have a seat at the table. That, again, as with all these topics, there are some companies that operate these schemes pretty well, right? And you can do okay. But generally speaking, if it's a commission-only role in a small company, you've got to question what the motives of the business are. And I think if you're an experienced recruiter,
if it's a lifestyle choice, I think it's great.
It could be cool.
Yeah.
But I think there's also that balance of, do you actually maybe just want to get a recruitment license and recruit for yourself and not have to worry about other people? So just be really careful. I think, I've actually met some people that struggled in interviews and went to a commission-only place, found it was terrible, but actually that experience then did allow them to get a
better job somewhere else.
A better job. So it can be useful, but a lot of those companies are pretty dodgy, so I would take care. Okay, so point number 5, the last thing to look out for, which could be a potential scam, is inflated titles. Now, recruiters, we all have an ego, usually.
Sometimes quite exaggerated.
Some bigger than others.
Yeah.
And so we can be attracted by a nice title, but it kind of makes me laugh a little bit when, somebody goes from a consultant or a senior consultant and then next minute they're a vice president,
VP or managing director sometimes.
Or managing director, and there are 6 or 7 managing directors. There's 2 in our business, but we are actually the managing directors. So I think that's fair enough. But come on, I think take a step back. Don't be tempted by a flashy title. That's a bit of a scam to me, and I think it's a scam which plays at people's egos. Nothing wrong with being a consultant or a senior consultant, doing a great job, earning more money, rather than having a
self-employed VP,
a fake title and a better business card. So just don't get your head turned by that. Would be my advice.
I always found that it's very nice actually to progress slowly and get that title slowly. You get your senior manager, senior manager. I always loved, I think, that career progression. And as Matt said, just be careful. Of course, if you're applying to, again, a household name, 200, 300, 500 people company, of course, there are going to be senior directors and VPs in there, rightly so.
Yeah.
They're going to be managing directors of brands in there. If you're applying to, a 5-man band and there are 5 VPs in there, maybe think about it.